Daniel. I'm 25 and currently living in Kensington, Brooklyn. Sounds a lot fancier than it is, but I originally grew up in New Jersey, which is probably where I first started to come out but didn't officially come out. My mom has a gay brother, so she pestered me throughout middle school asking me if I was gay. She kept coming home. I'd come home from school and she'd be like, "Oh, do you have a girlfriend?" I'd say no, and she'd say, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I'd say, "Ew, of course not. Why would I have a boyfriend?" At the time, I just thought I was curious. Like, everyone's curious in the locker room. I want to see what other people look like. Then we moved at the end of my 8th grade year. My dad had to get a new job, so we moved to Roanoke, Virginia, which is like the southwest part of Virginia, where it's not like Nova. And I continued to tell my mom no, which she continued to ask. My dad ignored the whole thing. And then I went on AIM, because that was really popular, and would go into the chat rooms and go into the gay chat rooms, and, do the ASL, age, state, location, find someone as a 15-year-old. And I eventually ended up having a long-term relationship. I don't know how many months of talking to somebody online. And then we would call each other late night, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and it was a lot of fun. He was like a year or two older than me, lived in Chicago, never met. And then my parents one day pulled me aside because the phone bill showed all of these late night phone calls, and I was cornered. And they were like, "Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to somebody this late?" So I told them I'm talking to somebody, like somebody you like, and they basically kind of kept forcing me to say all the things I didn't want to say before. And I finally was like, "Yeah, it's a guy." Like, my mom was like, "Oh, I'm so happy you finally told me." Like, my dad, not so happy, but I mean, he had to deal with it. Nobody else in my family cares, so my dad was outnumbered between the aunts, the grandparents, the siblings, and we had our long talks afterwards, with Bible verses and everything, but nothing really bad ever came of it. I had to watch a video that he wanted me to see, but we came to terms in our own weird way. There was no full support, but there was no mean hatred. It was all out of love. And that's my family's coming out. And then with my friends, I started telling people freshman year when I first started talking to that guy online. And at first I would only told like my 5 best friends, and I told them, if I tell you this, you cannot tell anyone else. If you tell anyone else, you're no longer friends. By sophomore year, I extended that to like the larger friend group, and I told them and was like, don't tell anyone else. There was no longer the threat. And then by the end of sophomore year, anytime I met someone or somebody asked, I just started telling them, and I started to come out to like, I actually texted the quarterback because of the football team, because I was kind of friendly with him, but never hung out with him outside of school. And I was like, if I can come out to him, like, it won't matter who else I come out to. So I texted him one night. I was like, "Hey, like, I've got something to tell you." And he's like, "What's up?" And I just told him I was gay, and he's like, "Cool." And that was pretty much like the point. I was like, all right, it doesn't matter anymore for me. Like, where I am, it seems like a safe space, and I just kept telling people, and there was no longer a threat, no longer a secret, and it was just nice. It was just great to just say who I was and not have people question it or like have to ask behind my back. Like, people just knew, and it was a great way to finish off high school. That's pretty much my coming out story. It was pretty much over by the end of sophomore year, so been me ever since.